Hi, my name is Mr. Ray. I'm at the Barnett Branch. I work in the YouMedia department. Kind of a jack of all trades. I'm an OU graduate. I do a little bit of video production, a little bit of art, drawing, graphic design, a little bit of animation. But my main love of life and the thing that I'm best at is music production. The MK3 is my favorite weapon of choice. My favorite DAW that I use is Logic. I've been doing it so long I don't remember a time before doing it. Semi-pro, been doing it for about 30 years. I've been at Columbus Metropolitan Library for about a year and a half. I toured for a while. I had a professional record deal. After that, I ended up going to college to try and learn the more technical side of things. And I got a degree to be a sound engineer. I toured for a while for bands, being front of house sound, running sound for live shows. After that run its course, I found myself at Columbus Metropolitan Library. What are my main influences? Stevie Wonder is definitely like one of my biggest influences. Big Daddy Kane is the first person that made me want to rap, and since then there's plenty to inspire me, from Nas, Kendrick Lamar, a Big Pun. I love Redman. Anything across any genre that sparks my interest, I wonder how I can put my spin on it and kind of incorporate it into what I do. How do I connect with other artists? I've turned my basement into a recording studio. It's a good way to get people in to record with, and you can tell pretty fast if you have chemistry. My favorite part of the process is that spark when you get an idea. When something happens and you get that first idea, whether I'm alone or whether I'm with a person, that initial moment where you realize you just grabbed hold of something, that big bang of an idea is probably the most exciting part of the process to me. If I had to give advice to an artist to develop their creativity, I would have to say it would be, number one, practice. If people think LeBron James is just good because he's LeBron James, they're wrong. You can be very talented, and if you don't practice, you never realize your full potential. So you can be starting off in a better place than a lot of people, but the person that practices might end up way ahead of you. Know your equipment so that if any instance or problem ever arises, you know a way around it or you know what to do with it. Final thing is, be kind. Be a good person, man. There's a number of times that there is a more talented person that's kind of not that cool. They don't get the job, but the person that's cool to hang with and still pretty talented, but is a good vibe, they get the job.
Hello everybody, this is Ashley Williams. I am a teen services specialist at the main library, currently helping out at Linden, hoping you all are healthy and well during these crazy times. What made me become an artist was the fact that I can create anything just from my mind. A blank sheet of paper can become a new world or a new universe, and it's been such a wild ride being a working artist / designer at times, and it's been really fun to experiment with new mediums and different programs, and there's new ones popping up every day. I find so many from Japan or Korea, or like even some in Europe and Finland. I would say my biggest influences when it comes to art has been old school anime, alternative shows that used to be like really weird. My parents would think they're strange, but I thought they were really cool. And I was like, I want to draw like that. So I just started drawing. My favorite like artists, I would say, are Akira Toriyama, Yoshitomo Nara, if you ever seen his work, it's very prolific in the fine art world, and Kehinde Wiley and Kara Walker. Like, just these images are like very graphic, and I feel like my art is very graphic in that sense as well, and I think it's very cool. I've been doing art since I was 8. My father just sat me down and made me draw something, and he was like, oh, go ahead and draw, and I never stopped. So this is all his fault. And I usually am a big fan of working with ink. So ink is very permanent, and you make a mess or you make a mistake, you have to get a new sheet of paper, or if you keep it, you have to incorporate that mistake into the drawing. And that's how I work, and that's how a lot of these pictures have happened. The advice I would give for young artists starting out is to keep finding opportunities to produce work. I do a lot of stuff in Clintonville, Franklinton, Toledo, and a lot of stuff, shockingly, in Washington, D.C. and Maryland, as far as like design and art goes. It's just any opportunities you find, you fill out for them, send proposals, try to do your best to just keep producing work. Even if you don't feel like drawing, I draw every day, even just a menial sketch or something weird like this. You can do anything. It's all in good fun, and I can't imagine my life without art. So it's good talking to you guys, and hope you all are well, and I can't wait to see you again.
Hi, I'm Jess. I work at the YouMedia Center at Driving Park, but I have a secret to tell you. I'm actually a webtoonist, illustrator, and character designer. I've worked for video game companies, some of which you've heard of, Webtoons itself, and created illustrations for books. Most of my art is inspired from my love for anime, comics, and video games, much like My Hero Academia, Miles Morales, and Persona 5. Specifically, artists like Akira Toriyama, who created Dragon Ball, Tetsuya Nomura, and Akihito Yoshida, who designed the Final Fantasy characters in the Final Fantasy series, definitely inspired me to become a webtoonist and a character designer. Advice I would give to a beginning artist would be probably 3 things. 1, don't compare your art to other artists' art. Compare your art to your previous art. That means look at your old art, look at your new art. If you see improvement, celebrate it. Don't compare your art to another artist who's probably been doing art for like 20 or 30 years. That simply isn't fair. Advice number 2, use references and resources. I know in the art community, using references can be like bad, quote unquote, but it's not. No professional artist draws from their memory. Usually your memory's bad. You have to use something that you physically see in the real world to reference it to your art. That's how you get better. Advice 3, practice. Yes, you've heard of this, but hear me out. Drawing every day, even if it's a line or a circle, helps. Do you know how many times I draw a circle? Millions of times. So practicing it can't be bad. Or practicing how your lines work. Or just practicing doing straight lines. All that helps. A bunch of lines is really what makes art art. So practice.
What's going on? My name is Demerus. I'm a TSS here at Whitehal, part of the YouMedia team. Outside of work, I do a little bit of everything as far as music. I do some songwriting, music production, hip-hop and R&B in particular, as well as audio engineering. Right outside of my house, I also work at a few studios, commission-based as well. I've been doing songwriting probably for about 10 years now. It started off me just like recording into my speaker at my mom's house and like finding remixes of my favorite songs from the radio. And from there, I decided to try to go professionally and try to figure out how to really monetize my skill. I feel like I had something that the world should hear and just tried to make something out of it. So from there, it's maybe about like maybe 8 or 9 years ago now, I met a lot of my friends at COS. I graduated from there in 2015. A lot of them I'm still very cool with, and they also went on to become full-time artists themselves. very inspirational to me. Those are the people that I look up to. Before, it used to be a lot of like mainstream artists like the Drakes, the Kendricks, the J. Coles, which are still very influential as far as the skill, but just seeing people in your own city that are doing things that you want to do has been super influential to me and just motivated me to keep on my path. So from there, went to Ohio State, graduated in 2019 with a Bachelor's of Arts in Communication Technology. From there, basically, I learned a lot of the ins and outs of the music industry as far as the business side, how people really get paid. And a lot of the stuff that people don't know is that you don't really make too much money off strictly music. It's a lot of ins and outs and making sure you're signing all of your royalty information, your statements are correct, making sure your percentages are where they need to be. There's so much that goes into releasing the music outside of just pushing post or pushing publish on SoundCloud or on YouTube or Spotify or whatever. So, I would definitely advise if you were to get into this industry in any type of way, just to please do your homework, because there's nobody else's business to teach you business. That's something I learned the hard way. I'm still learning every day to this day, even with me being in this arena for so long. So I would say my favorite part of this process, and that's for engineering, producing, and songwriting, I would say are the very beginning and the very end. I would say the very beginning just because I like that spark that you get, like when you have a good idea or you have an idea and you want to just keep working on it. And I like seeing other people too, the people that I collaborate with. I like seeing how they work and how their minds work, because it's literally like you get to see people's thinking process. Like, okay, I have this line, how am I going to fit it into this song? Or I have this loop that I've made or this sample that I found, how am I going to make this work for me? And just to see people like just do this puzzle almost in their mind with that type of work, I think it's always super cool. And as far as the end, I just like seeing everything all come together, especially if I produce a song, we wrote the song, we mixed and mastered the song, now the song is out, we may have shot a video to the song. It's just like, wow, this was nothing before. And the fact that we were able to execute an entire idea from almost scratch or complete scratch, from playing the instruments or searching through millions and millions of samples and loops and sounds from wherever. I think that's the coolest thing ever. And I never have gotten tired of that journey anytime that I've done.
My name is Turner, and I work at Main Library's Teen YouMedia Center. I am a creative educator, musician, instrument creator, and digital artist. I have a few pieces of advice for anyone that's pursuing a career in the arts. My first piece of advice is that you are in charge of defining what you do as an artist. I think that our culture often has predetermined ideas of what musicians, visual artists, or any person working in a particular creative field can or can't do based upon their main interest or what they have historically done. I kind of like to operate in the spaces in between that challenge those predetermined ideas while also having something familiar for people to connect with. I do this because I believe it creates more meaningful interactions and experiences for those who see or hear my music. So for example, I'll take something familiar, like an energetic song with lyrics, and combine it with something unfamiliar, like a performance on an instrument I've invented and built. My next piece of advice would be to create what inspires you, even if that means learning something outside of your comfort zone. So about 3 years ago, I really wanted to start adding visual elements that went along with my music, but I'd never really done anything like that before. So first, I decided I wanted to start putting some interactive lights along with my performances that would flash around. And after much YouTubing, making lots of mistakes, and then experimenting, I was able to figure out how to get lights to interact with my music. Shortly after that, I also began teaching myself how to use programs like Photoshop to create animations that went along with songs I was writing for my very first solo album called Memory Traveler. My third piece of advice is to be involved in your community. This could look like going to hear someone's music and introducing yourself to them after the show, attending someone's art show and finding the artist and asking about their work, or even just asking people that interest you creatively to collaborate on a project. And even if the person's creative style is different than yours, it can be extremely eye-opening to work with someone who challenges you to go outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes that collaborator is your friend, or it could be a cold contact that you're emailing for the first time. Here in Columbus, I was a resident artist at the Fuse Factory, where I worked with different groups of artists every month. Some of these artists were more experimental, some were songwriters, and others were jazz and classically trained musicians. Each had their own unique creative workflow, and by collaborating and working with them, it helped me think differently and gave me new tools to approach creating my music. My final piece of advice is to just keep making. To me, being an artist is less about arriving at a particular destination, but how you develop and shift over time. Just like as a person you change over time, so will what and how you create. Be patient, learn new things, and keep making.